Today's topic is foliage and trees, and I opened my iPad and this photo of Lion Island came up with this fabulous tree in the foreground that I love. So I was going to talk about gum trees and brush strokes, so this kind of works out perfectly. I just started drawing it up and then I thought I'll stop so that I can explain. I'm just putting the rough position, hopefully you can see the pencil, I don't want to make it too dark though. The rough position of these canopies to remind myself to leave the space between them, because the biggest mistake we can make with trees is make this one big solid mass of foliage that we're then trying to break up or, you know, make less of a solid shape. So I've got to make sure I leave these shapes, and so they're just really rough, sort of almost like a cloud shape, I guess. They're pale. If I do anything too dark, I'll lighten it back. And usually I'm trying to make my tree not really symmetrical as well, so it comes quite a bit out this way, so that is there, and coming off the top of the paper in some area is good. I've got a shorter piece of paper than I have widthwise, and so with these branches all curling around, I'm not actually going to draw all of those on because I want my brush just to be able to find its way a little bit more loosely. There's a couple of branches out here just to remind myself, and then there's some shrubbery down the bottom. So I have drawn in the bottom part of the trunk that is thicker, and then just some suggestion of these areas of foliage. Something that's really important to notice with a tree is we don't see trunk everywhere through. So I never paint all of the tree trunk before I paint the foliage, because the foliage needs to cover some of that up. So in particular here, I stopped the drawing of the trunk, but what I do need to be aware of is that something needs to come out roughly where that trunk would travel from the other side of the foliage. It's getting quite a bit narrower now, or it actually probably bends back over. Probably bends over and becomes this one. So I'm not going to worry too much about colour, but just like some of my other tutorials that have been foliage related, I mentioned that I use a lot of indigo and cad yellow. Neutral tint and cad yellow is also a favourite easy mix colour, but indigo and cad yellow makes a shadowy looking foliage colour. The indigo is quite blue. And what I see often with people painting trees or foliage is a repetition of the same brush stroke, or a dappling, or, you know, the point. So what you'll see different when I paint a canopy like this is I'm using my brush usually on the side. I need to reload with paint, but I want to get a broken edge I want to get a broken edge, and I can't get the broken edge if I have a repetitive shape. So my brush is going to dance around looking for this rounded canopy shapes. Okay, so I'm going to start down in here where it breaks the branch, and so I might put some this is the shadow side of the tree. If I look, so as I come across towards the left, I might just pick up a little bit more cad yellow so that the green is lighter, and you can see I'm doing this curving stroke, and I'll break it up, not break it up, I'll join it together in some places where it might have been a little bit too dry and raspy. I'm adding just a little touch of indigo back into my brush to darken that in places. Now I've come back up into my indigo, and again this half moon and the dancing brush. So there I haven't added any lighter colour, so I can just add any pure yellow back into that and make sure I've got a broken edge. Might come first in with the light colour now over here. And these gum trees very much have this canopy, layered canopies with gaps that you see branches through. So that's what I'm aiming for, some little small bits here. I want little gaps where you'll see little trunks come through later. And so if it's a smaller area, it's hard to do that big sweeping motion. So I will change my stroke a little bit. And that also avoids it being repetitive. I'll come back dark against that light. Pick up some more yellow. My paint's a little touch dry. And then up here. So again, that colour's getting too much the same, so back into a little touch of indigo. I said I was going to go off the page at the top. Some little bits here and there. You can also change brush if you want to add some leaf looking shapes then around the edge, or I might leave that till the end to do that. What I sometimes like to do, if I feel like this is too same in colour, in the shadowy areas, I might just tap in a little bit of Cobalt Turquoise. Cobalt Turquoise looks like a nice rich shadowy colour. So I'm just tapping a little bit of that. You'll see it breaks it up a touch. So now wanting to add some of the trunks in. So I'll start with the thicker area. And I might just start with, this one in particular has a little bit of a browny, light red. When I say light red, I mean the paint colour called light red, not that it's a light red. It's a lovely rich earth colour that works really well, particularly in with mauve. So I might add a little touch of that. I've got some yellow ochre as well. I'm not worrying about touching the foliage there because I actually want the trunk to blend into that, to blend into the foliage here. And I'm also going to add some shadow colour, so mauve, particularly along this right side, because I want to create a rounded look to my foliage, to my trunk, sorry. I'm just dampening where I was keeping that light side. So now I'm just coming into a shadow mix of ultramarine blue and alizarin crimson and popping that in on the shadowed side. And I particularly love what light red and this mauve mix does on the page together. This bottom part is in shadow, so I'll just use the mauve all the way there. This has shadow underneath. And so where the branches get thinner, I'll do less detail. So I'm going to leave those for a minute and just work on this while it's damp, wet into wet. So I want to make this bottom part quite a bit darker. So I will come in with a darker mix of ultramarine blue and brown madder is my chosen earth colour to darken that. You could use burnt sienna as a substitute. I like the richness of brown madder more than burnt sienna. So I'll just come in and drop that in, but it basically makes a dark mauve. I'll leave it a little bit lighter in sections. And if you feel like you've made something on a branch too dark, or it's just flat, doesn't look rounded, what's it called here? Lavender by Holbein is a perfect colour. It's a little bit opaque. I'll pop a bit in here just to show you. If I wanted to get a little bit of highlight back in through somewhere, but highlight in shade, lavender will work beautifully to just push those colours away. It works really well on stumps as well. So if I was doing a fence paling or a trunk, not a trunk, a fence paling, or like a pole in the waterways, sometimes, you know, I'll do, and that's what I might be aiming for, the broken stroke, but I might have missed that and had too much wet paint and it's gone solid. If I run a little bit of this down through, and I use it quite thick, so I'm really pushing into that wet pigment, it will push that colour away, but it also then tends to make it look quite woody and old looking if you just let it sit for a little bit and do its thing. So it's quite effective in your tree as well. So I'm going to change brush to a smaller one. I'm going to come to my darker colour because these branches up here are quite dark. And I'm just going to use the brush pulling away from my body, holding it by the end. Sorry, I just need to mix up more paint. And it lets me get a more, a less contrived kind of a stroke. So a bit more wobbly like the tree trunk is. Wobbly and bendy. And almost the same with doing this. I want to dance this brush around, not hold it up here, and be conscious of a really straight line. If it goes somewhere that I didn't intend for it to, it's not going to matter. My brush is a bit dry, a bit too dry then. I like, you know, dry brush work, but sometimes it just is too much so that it just wasn't traveling anywhere. This one I want to sit behind, so I'll just try to make sure that doesn't darken the front too much. These little offshoots are really important. Some of those on gums where a branch has maybe fallen off. Again, holding by the tip of the brush. So because my branch is this thick here, I need to make sure this part is thicker. Now here we're continuing that branch, so I might add a little touch of the light. So just a bit of yellow ochre down the side. Actually, Naples yellow will work better because it's a little bit opaque. It does similar to what the lavender did down here, and it'll push the other colour away. And then some I might go to the light red in the first bit of colour so that it looks sunlit. So I'll put a little bit of this down and then I'll come back with the darker colour to mix in. Need to link up my sometimes I'll go over ones I've already done just to add a little bit of highlight, as if the light's hitting. So I need more down in here. In my photo, there's more of this cluster that bends away, but I need something supporting this this bit of foliage. So I'll come back in with my dark. So I'm just assessing. I'm not necessarily now painting it photo accurate. This is just a little tree study. If my colour's not quite the same, like it's a little bit darker, that's fine. I might just darken that one so that it comes in front. Add a little touch that's too dark. Add a little touch of dark here and there on the light red ones that we've already popped in. In some of the gaps. And then in some places on our dark trunk, we can add a bit of dry brush work. So this is nearly dry. It would be good to wait a little touch longer, but just for the purpose of the demonstration. Tree branches are really beautiful and smooth. They have dark bits, light bits, crusty bits, bits of bark falling off perhaps. I've got a branch here, I can rub that out though, rather than put another one in. And I feel like I need more randomness coming off this one. So that's an idea of foliage and creating that look of canopies, and being a little bit more aware of the shape of the tree and where to take trunks to, whether to do foliage first or after the trunk.